Is your mind a peaceful place, or is it a battlefield, a chaotic marketplace of thoughts, worries, and endless noise? Be honest with yourself. When you have a moment of silence, what happens? Do you feel calm? But does an inner radio, one you can't turn off, immediately start broadcasting? It plays the song of yesterday's regrets, followed by the news forecast of tomorrow's anxieties, interrupted by commercials of self-criticism and the loud opinions of others. For most people, the mind is not a sanctuary, it is a prison. A noisy, exhausting prison where they are both the inmate and the warden. You have been led to believe that this is normal, that this constant internal chatter is simply the price of being an intelligent, thinking human being in a busy world. Today, I am here to tell you that this is not normal. It is the symptom of an untrained mind. And just as you can train your body to be strong, you can train your mind to be still. The promise of this conversation is not to give you a magic pill. It is to give you a key that unlocks a state of absolute clarity, even if just for 5 minutes. And sometimes, 5 minutes of true clarity is enough to change the entire course of your day. And eventually, your life. To understand the solution, you must first have radical clarity about the problem. The problem is not that you have thoughts. The problem is that you have become a slave to them. Imagine your mind is a small, empty room. When you were born, this room was silent, but over the years, you allowed voices to enter and take up residence. There is the voice of the past. It sits in a corner, constantly replaying your mistakes, your failures, your embarrassing moments. It reminds you of what you should have done differently, trapping your energy in events that can no longer be changed. In the opposite corner is the voice of the future. This one is anxious, constantly speculating about what could go wrong. It bombards you with what-if scenarios, creating stress about outcomes that have not happened and may never happen. Then there is the voice of the critic. This one sounds a lot like you, but it is your harshest judge. It points out your flaws, criticizes your efforts, and compares you unfavorably to others. It tells you you're not good enough, smart enough, or disciplined enough. And finally, there is the chorus of other people, the voices of your parents, your teachers, your boss, your friends, and society at large, all telling you what you should want, who you should be, and how you should live. Your mind has become a crowded room, with all these voices shouting at once. How can you possibly hear your own true voice in the midst of this chaos? How can you make a clear decision? How can you feel peace? You can't. This state of constant mental noise is what I call the tyranny of the untrained mind. This tyranny has a cost. It drains your vital energy. You wake up tired because your mind has been running a marathon of worries all night. You procrastinate on important tasks because the noise creates confusion and a lack of focus. You overreact in your relationships because your nervous system is already overloaded by the internal battle. You are physically present, but your mind is elsewhere, lost in the noisy room. You are not living your life, you are merely surviving your mind. The first, most common mistake people make is that they try to fight the noise. They try to force the voices to be quiet. This is like trying to flatten a stormy ocean with the palm of your hands. The more you struggle against the waves, the more you churn the water, the more turbulent it becomes. Trying to fight your thoughts only gives them more power and more of your attention. So, the solution is not to fight. The solution is not to empty the room. The secret is to do something entirely different. It is to learn how to anchor yourself in the center of the room, to become so still that the voices eventually lose their audience and fade into the background. Before you can learn the technique, you must accept this truth. You are not the voices. You are not the noise. You are the one who is aware of the noise. And in that awareness lies the beginning of your freedom. So if fighting the noise is a losing battle, what is the alternative? The alternative is not a battle at all. It is a strategic retreat to a place of power. It is the application of the monk's secret. And the secret is this: you cannot make your mind empty, but you can make it full. You can fill it so completely with one single thing that there is no room left for anything else. The secret to a silent mind is not emptiness. It is focused fullness. It is the principle of the single point. Imagine your mind as that small boat in the stormy ocean of your thoughts. The waves of anxiety and regret are tossing you back and forth. You cannot command the ocean to be still, but you can drop an anchor. An anchor does not stop the storm, but it holds the boat steady in one place, allowing it to ride the waves without being carried away by them. The single point is your mental anchor. It is one object of focus, so simple and so uninteresting that it gives the noisy voices in your mind nothing to argue with, nothing to analyze, and nothing to judge. When you give your full attention to this single point, the other voices may continue to shout for a while, but they are shouting into a void. You have taken your attention, their only source of power, away from them. For centuries, this was a practice understood through feeling and tradition. But in the last 2 decades, neuroscience has pulled back the curtain and shown us precisely what is happening inside the brain when we apply this ancient secret. Neuroscientists, beginning with the pioneering work of Dr. Marcus Reichel at Washington University in St. Louis, who first described this system in 2001, discovered a fascinating brain network. They called it the default mode network, or DMN. You can think of the DMN as your brain's screensaver. When you are not focused on a specific goal-oriented task, when you're driving on a familiar road, showering, or just sitting quietly, this network automatically turns on. And what is its job? Its job is to think about you. The DMN is what generates that stream of self-reflection, memories from the past, and worries about the future. It is the biological source of the voices in the room. It is your brain's natural tendency to wander. But here is the secret that science has now validated. Your brain has another major network, called the Task Positive Network, or TPN. This is the network you use when you are focused on a task, reading a book, solving a problem, listening intently. And studies have shown that the DMN and the TPN are like a seesaw. When one is highly active, the other becomes quiet. You cannot be fully daydreaming and fully focused at the same time. Therefore, the fastest, most effective way to quiet the default mode network, to gently dim the lights on the voices of anxiety and regret, is not to wrestle with them. It is simply to activate the task positive network. It is to give your mind a job to do. This is the monk's secret, translated into the language of modern science. The single point of focus is a task for your mind, a task so simple it requires no effort, but so specific it requires your attention. By placing your attention on that single point, you are manually deactivating your brain's wandering, noisy screensaver and activating its quiet, focused work mode. You are moving the mouse to wake up the screen. So what can serve as our anchor? What is the perfect single point? You could focus on a candle flame, or a mantra, or a physical sensation. But the most powerful and accessible anchor is one you carry with you every moment of your life. It is your breath. The breath is always with you. It is always in the present moment. You cannot breathe yesterday or tomorrow. It has a natural rhythm. It requires no thought. It is the perfect anchor to hold your boat steady in the storm of the mind. Understanding this principle is everything. Your mind is not broken. It is simply doing what it was designed to do when left on its default setting. The 5-minute practice you are about to learn is the manual override switch. It is the conscious act of dropping the anchor. You now understand the problem of the noisy mind. You now understand the principle of the single point anchor. But knowledge without practice is merely information stored in the mind. It is not embodied wisdom. True power, true clarity comes from application. Do not see these 5 minutes as a passive relaxation. See them as the most important training session of your day. You are not doing nothing. You are actively training your attention. You are performing mental hygiene. You are taking your mind to the gym. To begin, find a place where you can sit undisturbed for just 5 minutes. It does not have to be a special place. Your office chair, the edge of your bed, a park bench. All you need is a spine that is relatively straight to allow for alertness. Sit in a way that is dignified and stable. Rest your hands on your knees or in your lap. You can close your eyes, or if you prefer, you can rest your gaze softly on a point on the floor a few feet in front of you. Now, set a timer for 5 minutes, and let us begin. For this first minute, our single point of focus is the body itself. Bring all of your awareness to the physical sensations of this moment. Feel the points of contact, the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, the feeling of your feet flat on the floor. If you notice any tension in your shoulders or your jaw, simply observe it. Do not try to force it to relax. Just notice it. Your body is your first anchor. It is always unfailingly in the present moment. While your mind can travel to the past or the future, your body cannot. By bringing your attention here, to these physical sensations, you have already begun to call your wandering mind home. You are no longer lost in thought, you are present in your body. Continue to just feel the simple, undeniable reality of your physical presence. Now, gently shift your single point of focus from the body as a whole to the sensation of the breath. Without changing your breathing in any way, simply notice it. Become curious about it. Where do you feel the breath most vividly? Is it the cool air entering your nostrils? Is it the gentle rise and fall of your chest? Or the expansion and contraction of your abdomen? There is no right answer. Find the spot where the sensation is clearest for you and rest your full attention there. Your mind will try to label it, to judge it. Am I doing this right? My breathing is too shallow. Let those thoughts be voices in another room. Your only task is to feel the simple physical sensation of one single breath, in and out. Now we will give the mind its clear singular job to activate its focused network. We will count. As you next exhale silently in your mind, count 1. Inhale without a count. As you exhale again, count 2. Continue this all the way to the count of 10. The task is simple. Count each exhalation from 1 to 10. If you reach 10, you will simply begin again at 1. If at any point you realize your mind has wandered and you have lost your count, you will also, gently and without judgment, begin again at 1. The count is not a goal. It is just the anchor. It is the simple, repetitive task that keeps the mind from drifting into the storm. Just this. Inhale, exhale, 1. Inhale, exhale, 2. This minute is the most important part of the training. Inevitably your mind will wander. This is what minds do. A thought, a sound, a memory will pull your attention away from the breath. The moment you realize your mind has wandered is a moment of pure victory. It is not a failure. It is a moment of awareness. In that moment of awareness, you have woken up from the dream of thought. So, when it happens, I want you to do 2 things. First, silently and gently label the distraction. Just say the word thinking in your mind. This acknowledges the distraction without getting caught up in its story. Second, and this is the core of the entire practice, you gently, firm and compassionately guide your attention back to your anchor, back to the count of the breath. The practice is not about never wandering. The practice is in the art of the return. Every time you bring your mind back, you are strengthening your muscle of attention. You are carving a new neural pathway, the pathway of focus and presence. Be kind to yourself. You may have to return 100 times. Each return is a repetition at the mental gym. Each return is a success. As the final minute begins, you can let go of the counting. Let go of any specific technique. For this last minute, simply sit. Sit with whatever is present. Notice the state of your mind now compared to when you started. Is there a little more space between your thoughts? A little more quiet in the room of your mind? Then slowly begin to expand your awareness. Feel the air on your skin. Listen to the sounds in the room around you, without needing to label them. And when your timer sounds or when you feel ready, slowly and gently open your eyes. Take one more conscious breath with your eyes open, bringing this sense of clarity with you back into the world. This is the practice. This is the training. The measure of success is not what happens in these 5 minutes. The measure of success is the simple, consistent act of showing up for them. You have just completed the practice. Take a moment to notice how you feel. You may feel a sense of calm, a quietness, or you may feel just as restless as before. You may even feel more aware of the noise. Whatever you feel is perfectly fine. The goal of these 5 minutes is not to achieve a blissful state that lasts forever. The goal is to train a skill. The true result is not the feeling you have during the practice, but how the skill of returning your attention to an anchor translates into the other 23 hours and 55 minutes of your day. What is this skill? It is the mastery of your attention. And your attention is the currency of your life. Wherever you place your attention, you place your energy. When you are at work, trying to focus on an important task, and the voice of the critic appears, telling you that your work is not good enough, you now have a choice. Before, you might have believed that voice and spiraled into procrastination. Now you can detect the voice as a thought, a distraction, and gently but firmly return your attention, your anchor, to the task at hand. You are training the muscle of deep work. When you are in a conversation with a loved one, and the voice of the future begins to create anxiety about what you need to do later, you have a choice. Before, you might have nodded along while being lost in thought apps. Now you can detect the wandering and gently bring your attention back to their words, to their eyes. You can offer them the greatest gift you have, your full presence. You are training the muscle of connection. When you feel a wave of anger, frustration, or fear wash over you, you have a choice. Before, that wave would have become you. You would have been consumed by it, reacting from its center. Now you can use your breath as an emergency anchor. You can take one conscious breath, creating a space between the feeling and your reaction. In that space, you find your power to choose a wiser response. You are training the muscle of emotional regulation. This 5-minute practice is your dojo. It is where you train in a safe environment, so that when you are out in the world, in the battlefield of life, you have the skill and the strength to remain centered. Do not be discouraged if it feels difficult. It is supposed to be difficult. You are rewiring decades of mental habits. Be consistent. This is not a medicine you take once when you feel sick. This is hygiene you perform daily to maintain your health. You do not question the value of brushing your teeth every day. Do not question the value of clearing your mind for 5 minutes. Make it a non-negotiable part of your day. The best time to practice is in the morning, before the world has a chance to fill your mind with its noise. The tyranny of the noisy mind ends where the discipline of practice begins. The secret of the monks was never about magic. It was about training. It is the simple, profound understanding that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your attention. Tea break. They knew that a scattered mind is a weak mind, and a focused mind is a powerful mind. You cannot stop the clouds of thought from passing through the sky of your mind. You can stop building nests in them and choosing to live there. You can learn to anchor yourself to the earth, watch them pass, and remain in a state of clear, calm awareness. You have the principle, the single point. You have the practice, the 5 minutes of training. You have the key. The door to a quieter, clearer, more powerful existence is in front of you. All that is left is for you to turn it, day after day. This conversation is about to end. The noisy world is waiting to reclaim your attention. The automatic impulse to click, to scroll, to move on to the next thing is already rising. But before you go, I invite you to perform your first act of conscious intention right now. Go to the comment section and make a simple, powerful commitment. Write these 4 words. I will sit today. This is not a promise to me or to anyone else. It is a promise to yourself, a promise to give yourself this gift of 5 minutes, a promise to begin your training. And when you see others who have written the same, know that you are not alone. Know that you are part of a silent community, a global monastery of individuals committed to mastering their minds, one breath at a time. Your training begins now.